Are you thinking about moving to Knoxville, Tennessee in 2025? You are not alone. People are moving here from all over the country every day. But before you load your stuff up in the U-Haul and start driving this direction, let's talk about some of the things that people love when they move to Knoxville and some of the things they're a little bit surprised about. Let's jump in. First, let's talk about some of the reasons people are moving to Knoxville, some of the things they love when they get here. First, affordability. Knoxville is traditionally, historically, below the national average in terms of cost of living. According to our Chamber of Commerce, we're about 14% the national average on how much it costs to live. So if it costs $1 on average, it's going to cost 86 cents in Knoxville. Now, that's not always the case, but for most people, especially if you're coming from an area with a higher cost of living or with higher property taxes, we'll talk about that in a second, you can probably find some general cost relief in your life by moving to Knoxville. I've had clients who've relocated from places like Boston and New York and some of the more popular parts of Florida who have come here and realized that our property taxes are so low comparatively that they can save a ton of money just by moving houses, just by moving states. They can save a ton of money. And for instance, I had someone who moved here from the Northeast who said, we were looking at homes and he was like, oh, property taxes, $1,200 a month. It's not great, but it's not too bad compared to what I'm used to. And I was like, no, it's $1,200 a year. And he's like, what? I said, yeah, it's $1,200 a year in this particular place, in this particular home. And he was gobsmacked. He was absolutely flabbergasted that that's what we pay in property taxes. And that's not true everywhere. And, if you buy in Knox County versus the city, it's going to be different. But we always talk about what that's going to be before you ever put in a contract. But in general, compared to the national average, our property taxes are fairly low. We also don't have a state income tax. The state of Tennessee does not have a state income tax. So the only taxes you pay in your income are the federal taxes that we all have to pay. And there are local sales tax, things like that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Some people are a little surprised by that, usually not for the better. But in general, Knoxville is a fairly affordable place to live. Now, we do have some affordability challenges in different areas, especially if you're looking in certain types of homes in certain specific areas of our market. But in general, your dollar goes further in Knoxville than a lot of other cities and places of a comparable size. One of the other things that people love about Knoxville, they tend to be pleasantly surprised about when they get here. We are so close to so many outdoor activities. If you love being outside, if a weekend outside is like what recharges you, and you just love being in the woods, on the water, anything like that, in the mountains, Knoxville, Tennessee is the place to be. We're about an hour from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which is the most popular national park in the country. I believe it's one of the best, and I have my reasons for that. I do think the Smokies are some of the most beautiful mountains on the earth, on the whole planet. And I've crawled up and down them, and I can be there and back on the same day. Saturday morning, I can wake up, go for a hike in the Smokies, and be back before dinner and have spent a full day in a national park. It's amazing. And then if you go an hour north or so of here, you're in Big South Fork, which is, I don't tell anybody, it's a very well-kept secret. But Big South Fork is a beautiful place. And then if you don't want to drive, if you just want to be local, you can get on the river. We have urban wilderness here in the city where you can still be in the city proper, but have, I think it's like 120-ish miles or acres, I can't remember how we measure it, but of trails. It's miles of trails that make you feel like you're in the wilderness, but you're still in the middle of Knoxville. And our city does a great job of focusing efforts on keeping Knoxville beautiful, making Knoxville a visually beautiful place to be. And so if you love being outdoors, don't skip Knoxville. You're gonna really like it here because you are anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour from some of the most beautiful outdoor experiences, I believe, on the planet. A lot of people are pleasantly surprised by our job market. We have a surprisingly strong job market in Knoxville. Now, it doesn't have the same breadth that some other places might have. We have specific industries that tend to dominate here. From a census data perspective, hospitality is a big one. Healthcare is a huge one here. We also have Oak Ridge National Laboratory in our backyard. So they helped make the atomic bomb. They also, at one point, had one of the fastest supercomputers in the world. So if you're in the sciences, the maths, the engineering, things like that, Oak Ridge National Laboratory, there's a very good chance they could or would employ you. The University of Tennessee is another big employer in town. Knoxville's a college town through and through. The University of Tennessee. I'm a Vol for life. Graduated there. Love it. My kids are going to go there. I'm going to brainwash them into going there. That's the only choice they have. But Knoxville is home to the university, and the university is a major employer of people. So if you move to Knoxville, I've talked to multiple people who've relocated here over the last year or two for jobs at UT. So that's not uncommon. We have a strong, healthy job market. We also have a healthy entrepreneurial environment. We have the mayor's maker council, which invests in makers in our city, people who make things. They're there to help you make a living doing what you love. And it's a super cool thing. There's a lot of great ways to get involved. If you're a maker, I highly suggest you check out the Maker City. But it's not just people who make stuff. There's founders, software companies. We have some like entrepreneurial competitions and contests in our city that give money and grants away. There's one called What's the Big Idea? I think it's sponsored by the Knoxville Entrepreneurial Center or the Chamber of Commerce, maybe both. We just have so much great support. So if you're the kind of person who wants to build something incredible, Knoxville's a great place to look. And on the broader perspective about our community, Knoxville is a very big, small town. It feels like the people you run into at some of these events are people you run into out and about at the grocery store, and when you're at First Friday and you're in our art district, which was semi-recently voted one of the best in the country. Like, Knoxville has this huge small town feel. So we have a lot of the benefits of a small town where you can get to know people, you can be known, but we also have some great culture. I mean, we have incredible arts. Like I said, our art district is nationally recognized. We have the Dogwood Arts Festival, which is a huge regional festival. We have the Big Ears Festival, which is an avant-garde music festival. It's one of the largest in the world. And people come from all over the world to both perform and listen and watch these performances. And it's spread all out over the city. It's very cool. Knoxville has a growing food scene. We have a James Beard award-winning chef downtown. It's JC Holdway is the name of the place. By the way, if you're ever in town and you're not sure where to go and you're okay with spending a little bit, JC Holdway is by far the best food you can get downtown. There are other incredible restaurants. So if that's not your speed, send me a message. I'm happy to send you my recommendations. But we have great food. We have great drinks. Any kind of thing you want to do. We have a great nightlife scene. Anything you want to do in Knoxville, it's available here. But you can also run into the mayor at the grocery store, and that's totally normal. So you have some of the benefits of the big city, but some of the accessibility of a small town. One other thing that people love about moving here and living here is the location advantage. We are 3 hours from multiple major international airports, both in Nashville and Atlanta, and you're about 8 hours from anything you could want to do in the eastern United States. I can be in Washington, D.C., or at the beach, or as far west as Arkansas, or I can go up. No, I can be in Cincinnati. I can go watch multiple NFL teams. I don't remember how many NFL teams we're in proximity to, but you can get to most of them pretty quickly. And if you don't want to drive, you want to fly somewhere, we have an airport. McGee-Tyson is a large regional hub. We have multiple flights. We have multiple companies that have flights out of McGee-Tyson. Southwest is going to begin flights, if they haven't already, maybe next year. Like, we have plenty of flights in and out. So wherever you want to go, you can access it from Knoxville fairly easily, because one of the big reasons for that is we have I-40, which runs east and west, and I-75, which runs north and south. Those are two very major interstate sections in the United States, and they both connect and intersect in downtown Knoxville. So you have major arterial highways that get you anywhere you want to go. It really is a great location. You're close to the mountains, you're close to lakes, you're close to rivers. But if you're a beach person, you're 6.5 hours away from the beach. You can leave, be at the beach on the same day, and still have time, check in, still have time to go hit the water before the day's up. So those are some of the things that people are pleasantly surprised by, some of the things that people love about living here, about moving here. But there are also some, I'll call them cons, maybe they're downsides, unexpected surprises, unpleasant surprises, however you want to put it. And let's talk about some of them. First, and before I say this, if you're from the Southwest, or you're from Florida, or you're from someplace that's like this, please don't get in my comments and tell me how hot it is where you are. But it's very hot here in the summer. And it's not just hot, it is humid. It is muggy. It is so humid you can drink the air. I mean, it is tough in the summers. I'm a cold weather guy. I like it to be cold. I like layers. That's kind of my thing. So the summers they're hard for me. I sweat when it's above 65 degrees. So I'm always just a little hot in the summer. So if you're from a place that you don't have to run the air conditioning, you're from the Northeast to the Pacific Northwest, you're used to having the windows open. Here you're going to run the AC. You're going to get used to the air conditioning in your home. And if you buy a new build or something like that, it's going to be very well energy efficient. But some of our housing stock is older. So I bought a house that was built in 1904. And so every year in the summer, there's at least 1 or 2 days where it's the same temperature outside as it is inside. And I don't like that. I want it to be cooler. I'm working on it. So I'll get it sorted out. But that's just part of it. We are in the South here. So that's just the lay of the land. It's the way it works. And if you're from Florida or you're from, one of these hot weather places, it's going to be fine for you. You're going to love it. You may have trouble with the winters because we do get winters here. It gets cold. If you like 4 seasons, stay in Tennessee for a week because you're probably going to get every one of them. But it gets cold. We typically have a snow. It will last a couple of days. Then it usually melts off. Everyone forgets how to drive for a minute. It's fine. We all figure it out. But if you like 4 seasons, we get all 4 of them here, sometimes all on the same day. Another thing people sometimes are surprised by, especially if you're coming from a place where this isn't true, we have sales tax in Tennessee. So for instance, growing up, I worked at McDonald's for a little while, and we would get people who would come in from Kentucky. They would come south of the border, just traveling through. I'm not from Knoxville originally, but they would come through and they would stop in McDonald's, get something off the dollar menu, and then try to hand me $1. I'd say, I'm sorry, that's $1.10. And they would be just bewildered because they ordered something off the dollar menu. Well, we have sales tax. So that means that what's on the sticker is not what you're going to pay. You're going to add a little bit and pay a little bit more. It's fine. You get used to it immediately. But for some people, that's just not the ideal scenario. We are also, as I'm recording this, Knoxville's currently in early voting on a referendum where the city would up our sales tax from 9.25% to 9.75%. So a 0.5% increase on just certain items. It's not on everything to help fund things like affordable housing, sidewalks, all sorts of things. But who knows if that'll pass. But the good news is the state of Tennessee has a maximum amount that a local option sales tax can be, and it's 9.75%. So unless the state law changes, that's the most you're ever going to pay in sales tax here in East Tennessee. Maybe in concert with that, we are dealing with rising costs. So while Knoxville still is very affordable, we have seen some rapid appreciation both in home costs and general costs of living here from the unbelievable inbound migration that we had during the pandemic. And when everyone was at home, shut down, a lot of people moved here because remote work was popular. And again, we don't have a state property tax. So people could live here, buy a home here, pay less in taxes, and still keep their job. Well, why not? I mean, you're an hour from everything. It's a beautiful place. I love East Tennessee. I love Knoxville. And a lot of people got on board and got here. And because of that, we had a lot of people moving in where we didn't have enough inventory because we hadn't been building houses enough. So what happens when you have high demand and low inventory? Prices go up. And so we dealt with this rapid appreciation over the last couple of years. Things have cooled off significantly. We're starting to see the market correct. And we're dealing with the same things everyone in the country is dealing with. But some of our affordability has been eroded by that. As much as I would love to say, oh, it's perfect and it's all super cheap to live here, the reality is that your specific situation is going to determine how much of that affordability ends up getting passed on to your wallet. Another thing people tend to be surprised by Knoxville, and I'm not sure if this is good or bad, it's just a thing. It's very neighborhood segmented. It's very neighborhood specific. And what I mean by that is West Knoxville, anyone who lives here will tell you, West Knoxville and East Knoxville are two completely different places, like categorically different. And there's a lot of reasons for that historically. And there's a lot of reasons for that from a development perspective. Like there's a lot of things behind that. And we can talk about that more in a conversation. But they all kind of have their own unique personalities. I call them little boroughs. So some of your affordability is going to be more on the east side or the north side, and some of your more trendy places are going to be on the south side. And the places where most people are moving, generally speaking, is West Knoxville. It's where the shopping is. It's convenient, but you deal with traffic. So there's always going to be trade-offs. One's not better, one's not worse. There's just trade-offs. So if you're trying to maximize your dollar, generally speaking, East Knoxville has our lowest price per square foot. There's also a lot of development happening over there, so you can get some new builds for relatively cheap. I say cheap, but you can get new builds for less money than you could in West Knoxville. And it could be the same house, and you pick it up and move it to West Knoxville, and it costs a lot more money. So it really is about what you need, what you want, what you're looking for in your specific case. One other thing that tends to surprise people, like I said, Knoxville is a college town. It's home to the University of Tennessee, which is home to Neyland Stadium, which I believe seats 102,455 people, give or take. It's huge. I think it's the third or fourth largest stadium in the world. Maybe the country. I don't remember. We're on those lists. It's massive. And every game so far this year, I believe, has been a sellout. So if you're trying to go somewhere on a Saturday in the fall in Knoxville, you better hope it's an away game, because the gridlock downtown is real. The gridlock getting onto campus is real. And the campus is right next to downtown. So I would recommend, if you shop at Costco or you're going to run to Sam's for something, do it on a Friday, do it on a Sunday. On Saturday, unless you're going to the game, which, by the way, is an incredible experience. I recommend everyone needs to go to Neyland Stadium for a home game one time in their life. It's unbelievable. But if that's not what you're planning on doing that day, prepare for some delays, prepare for a little bit of gridlock. One other thing, I kind of alluded to this earlier. Knoxville is a landlocked city and a landlocked state. We don't have any oceans near us. However, if you love rivers or you love lakes, or if you just love the water, lake life is strong here. People love being on the lake. We have access to Norris Lake, which is one of the prettiest lakes, I think, in the country. The Tennessee River runs through downtown Knoxville, so people kayak, they paddleboard. You can be on the water. I mean, we even have the Vol Navy, which is where a bunch of people tailgate on boats on game day. Because again, the stadium is on the Tennessee River, so it's quite a sight. So anyway, while we are landlocked, you can be at a beach in 6.5 hours, or you can get your boat and go to the lake and have a blast. So let's talk briefly about some of the places people are moving. Like I mentioned, West Knoxville is very popular. We have Farragut. There's some great rated schools. There's all sorts of things people like about Farragut. Hardin Valley for a long time was a big place of development that's starting to slow down just a little bit. We're seeing people move realistically all over now. South Knoxville had a huge boom just south of the river. We have some people moving to North Knoxville, Northeast Knoxville, where you can get a little bit more space. East Knoxville has a ton of new builds going on right now, a ton of infill housing development. So realistically, it kind of is up to you on what you need, what you want out of where you're living, and your budget, and a bunch of other questions that will kind of help determine what is best for you. And that's part of my job. I'm here to make relocating to Knoxville as simple for you as possible. Moving is never easy, but it's easier when you have somebody on your team, on your side, boots on the ground in the city you're headed to. So we do things like virtual showings. I make sure that we're talking about the smells, the sights. It's not just, a shaky phone camera. I've got a gimbal to make sure you have a nice, stable view of the home. I schedule a little more time for those showings, so you have time to ask questions, look at specific things. I show you the street surrounding it. We'll talk about all the things surrounding the area so you understand what's going on. But it all starts with just a conversation between us on what you're looking for, what you want, what you need. Because again, my job is to help make moving to Knoxville as simple as possible. And if you're planning on moving to Knoxville, this is what I do. I specialize in helping people move to Knoxville. It's as simple as clicking the link in the description to set up a time for us to have a chat. No commitment, nothing like that. Just get to know each other, see if it would be a good fit. I'm happy to be your boots on the ground here in town. So you can schedule a free relocation call using the link in the description, or just drop your question in the comments below. I answer every one of them. Would love to be a resource to you. I'm Cole Lyles, your Knoxville realtor. I'm here to make your relocation to East Tennessee simple. And until next time, thanks for watching.